So if you have migraine and you're afraid to exercise, I've left 3 journaling prompts down in the caption for you to work through after watching this whole video. Because one of the biggest barriers to exercise that I see isn't from a lack of motivation. I often find patients and clients of mine what the real problem is uncertainty or a lack of clarity about exercise and migraine, not knowing what exercises or types of exercise will be helpful, not knowing how much intensity is too much, not knowing if exercise will trigger an attack for them, and not knowing how your body's going to react can bring up fear and lack of attempts to try exercise. And one of the things I like to implement with a lot of clients is an exercise journal. Not because I want people tracking every detail of their life and becoming hypervigilant, because that can also be bad as obsessing over data. But we want to gather the right information because one of the most important things we can do is learn how our body is responding and adapting to different types of exercise. So, for example, we might feel great walking, but not great running. Maybe we feel great with strength training, but cardio classes don't feel well for us. Maybe we are okay on walks, but not doing high intensity intervals because that's too much and triggers attacks for us. Maybe we feel fine with 10 minutes a day, but then going into 20 or 30 minutes is beyond our exercise threshold. Maybe morning walks are really good for us, but evening walks cost too much energy and trigger attacks. But without tracking, we're kind of left guessing. So the journal kind of allows us to step back, look for the patterns with exercise and migraine. So, but then we really need to answer questions like what type of exercise we're doing, what intensity, duration, what's the environment, and the circumstances around exercise and migraine for us. So if you're keeping a journal, here are a few things I usually recommend to the clients that I'm working with. Things I usually recommend writing down in that journal is what exercise did you do today? How long did you do it for? What was the intensity that day? What was the environment you were in? Was it hot, bright, noisy? Were you indoors or outdoors? How was your sleep the night before? And then how did you sleep the night after, right? Because if you didn't get a good night's sleep for your post-workout, that matters for recovery. How stressed were you with work, family stuff? And did you experience symptoms before, during, and or after exercise? And over time, we start building a better understanding of your body's relationship and migraine with exercise. And that information can be really helpful for decision making going forward. Now, for those who are afraid to exercise, which is a little bit different, a journal can serve another purpose, which can help us test our assumptions around fear. Because when we're afraid, our brain starts to make assumptions and predictions about what might happen to us, right? You might think, if I go for a walk today, I'm going to trigger a migraine attack. And that's an assumption or prediction. Journaling regularly helps us to compare that prediction to our actual lived experience, what actually happened. One of the concepts I like to pull from when I'm working with patients, especially in physical therapy, is something from ACT, or acceptance and commitment therapy. And that we don't have to eliminate fear before taking action with exercise and migraine. So sometimes we can work on acknowledging that fear, make our room space for it, and still work and make small steps towards exercise or other things that matter for us. And that's exactly what we can do here with journaling. We're not trying to force confidence or, just assume that it's not going to cause attacks. We're trying to collect evidence and data so we can learn from our exercise experience and build from one experience to the next. When we're kind of done this video, I want you to kind of check out the journaling prompts in the bottom so you can kind of see how you might want to start thinking about exercise and writing about it. Then that'll help you identify maybe what you're afraid of when it comes to exercise, examine some evidence or data for or against fears you have, and then start building confidence through the experiences that we have, and instead of just having assumptions. Tomorrow, we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most important questions that I get from a lot of clients and patients is, did exercise cause your attack?